breeze. Cali in the summer breeze. Out here in Cali, from the beach to the valley, we doing it right, we keeping it tight. Out here in Cali, from the beach to the valley, we doing it right, all day and all night. Are you ready?
I hope so, because if not, maybe you should shut your computer off right now. Welcome, everybody, to Inside the Rut MX podcast. My name is Kenny Watson, and I am your host. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone that made this possible.
Team Elite, general contracting, residential or commercial construction, and all of your landscaping needs. They've got it covered. Team Elite has over 30 years of combined experience to get your project done right. Visit EliteTeamOffices.com for more details and tell them Inside the Rut sent you. They will exceed your expectations. Cocopah Casino and Resort, located just outside of Yuma, Arizona. Headed to the river, Lake Havasu, or to Phoenix from San Diego? Well, it's on your way. Make a pit stop. Headed to Glamis? Make a short detour. Stay and play. For more information, visit their website, cocopahresort.com. That's COCOPAH resort.com. Ron's In Your Ear Audio, located in Havasu City, Arizona, taking care of all of your audio and electronic installation. They do gel coats, alarm installations, and shrink wraps. They also take care of any fiberglass needs. If you're in the area, stop in and see their showroom. Visit ronsinyourearaudio.com and tell them Inside the Rut sent you. They'll take care of you. X Brand. Searching for goggles? Search no further. Go to xbrand.com. That's EKSbrand.com and enter in the promo code ITR48 for 30% off. Works Connection. For all of your two-wheel needs. Works Connection has the products you need. Go to worksconnection.com. Hart & Huntington Tattoo. Located in Las Vegas, Orlando, Niagara Falls, and Nashville. If you're in any of these areas, stop in and tell them Inside the Rut sent you. Guts Racing. Guts Incorporated has been providing high-quality, high-performance seat covers and foam since 1990. Visit gutsracing.com to view their selection and use discount code ITRMX30 for 30% off. For direct links to our sponsors' websites, visit our website, ITRMX.com.
Welcome, everyone, back to Inside the Rut. Today we have a special guest. He is, I don't know if you want to call him an editor. He's not an editor, maybe assistant editor. He works for the magazine Racer X, and he is the chief editor and head
Pulp MX.com.
PulpMX.com. And
PulpMXShow.com.
If you guys don't know who that voice is, Mr. Steve Matthes. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Watson. Cool to be here. I was in, I don't live in SoCal. I live in Vegas.
Oh, you do?
But I'm in SoCal for some business. And what else do I have to do besides driving home to come by and do your podcast? You had said, hey, would you do the podcast? And I said, I don't want to come down there. And you said, you can do it over the phone. But honestly, it's better in person.
You know what? I agree. I couldn't ask for a better Sunday afternoon to look across the table and see you.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's totally cool. I'm glad to see you get pried out of the lion's den. I know it's that season where they're getting hungry.
Yeah.
So glad you got out of the den and came down to SoCal, the place of where it all really happens, bro.
Traffic still sucks on a Sunday.
Can I tell you something? Traffic sucks no matter what. This
Right.
place sucks, period. But that's whatever. But yeah, so let's dive into this.
Yeah.
I'm stoked that you're here.
Thank you.
My first question is, did you ever, in your wildest imaginations, think that you would be doing what you're doing today? Ever?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You mean like
At Steve Cycles, you're all, you know what? I'm gonna be a journalist.
Okay, wait. But what I'm doing now is I'm in the media. When I was doing a mechanic, no, I never thought I would be a mechanic at Steve Cycle. But once I got into the mechanicking thing, which I did for 11 years, as you know, I wanted to transition into media, motocross media. So that, what I do now, yes, I could see myself doing it. Now, did I ever think I would become a pro mechanic, like on 2 factory teams? Something you were never able to do with your red hair?
True.
2 factories. You were never able to get on a factory like me. I got on twice.
Does one count right now?
No.
'Cause I'm not a mechanic.
because it's just your buddy. Anyways, no, I never would have thought I could be a mechanic. That's pretty amazing. That part of my career. Because I'm from Winnipeg. Like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is? A lot of people that I've talked to said the only reason you were a mechanic is because the people that you were mechanics for wanted you to go there. And I did a little research, and these guys were like, there's no way in hell that we would just hire Matthes because of his mechanicking skills. One guy I talked to, he had a lot of really good things to say about you, was Kurt Haller.
Oh, really?
Kurt Haller, big fan of yours.
The only guy in that whole Moto XXX story I did on Racer X that would not talk to me. Just wouldn't talk to me.
Because he said he wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire.
Funny, I still want the rest of my money from him. That would be great.
Old Squinty owes you money.
I love how he was mad at me for for something. Who knows?
He was mad at you probably for registering the truck or something.
But you owe me money. I worked for you for free, and then when my rider got hurt, Kurt, you fired me. Like, it's like, hey, Nick Way twisted his knee out at what's that place where the porn guy was? Sandtrack?
Alberta?
No. They shot porns up in that practice track. It's sandy.
I have no idea. The Railroad Canyon track?
No. You know what I'm talking about. You went there.
Anyways. El Centro?
No. Down here somewhere. Anyways.
I don't know.
Nick Way twisted his knee. He's going to be out for 3 weeks. Kurt's like, well, you're free to get another job. I'm like, he didn't die. He's coming back in a month. He's going to miss. Yeah, just can't pay you, man. Yeah. So, anyways, whatever.
Well, I feel your pain, dude.
Yeah.
I was there over many years. And
as a mechanic, Timmy Ferry, perhaps I might drop that name. That's the first reference.
Never heard of him.
He said you're a pretty good mechanic, but you're a very good buddy. and he's right. I mean, as a mechanic, I righty tighty, lefty loosey. My bikes never broke. That was due to my fault. They did break a few times. I was okay. I was just passable. I was no super mechanic goose. That nothing to worry about. But Kenny, it's not that hard. It's really not.
I mean, I think it's back in the day. It was harder for a guy like me and you on the road than it is the day.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the mechanics now. Oh man, dude, I got a freaking 3-hour layover. I mean, dude, I got to drive 30 hours and then wash the box.
And go grocery shopping.
Yeah, and walk uphill. In the snow.
See that we're getting to be like old man talking about that. But I mean, I did do my suspension oil on the road. I changed it. I split my motors on the road. I changed my own tires. Like, these guys don't do any of that now. But hey, whatever. Things change.
Times change, exactly. Yeah. And I give it to them, but I just get kind of bummed out when I
don't you feel though? I think if you want to talk about these guys now, I think there's more pressure on them. Like, it's easier job. Okay, so. Dana Wings isn't there anymore, actually. Brian Krantz, Tomax mechanic. He doesn't have a motor to split front of the race bike. He doesn't have anything to do. He puts it together. But, dude, there's more pressure on these guys. The sport's bigger.
Yep.
There's more eyeballs. There's more people at the race. Like, I think those guys probably have a bit more pressure.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because if something does go wrong, it's a reflection on them.
Well, and then guys like me, now, if something goes wrong, guys like me and other media guys, there's more media than ever before, we're like, what the F?
Yeah,
so
true. And then the guy sitting up in the stands with 5 Budweisers in him. Oh, his mechanic sucks, bro.
Well, I think that always happened no matter what, but I think just externally there's more pressure on these guys than ever before.
Yeah, well, I would agree. Yeah. I would agree. But anyways, so let's move on from your
So, yeah, I never believed I could be a mechanic, but I definitely, when I got into mechanicking, I was like, this isn't that good. This isn't awesome as I thought it would be. And so now what can I do? And I worked at Parts Unlimited for a year, but the whole time I was writing for Racer X Canada and writing for Racer X, so I wanted to transition into media. Yeah,
the transition went pretty smooth. So, all right, let's talk about when you started the Pulp MX show. What the idea, when it started, I mean, how long did you talk about it before you dropped the first episode? And, take it from there.
I was doing podcasts, right? I did the podcast before the Pulp MX show. I started those in like 2007, 2008.
So the wrap up, the ones at the races, you were doing those?
Not at the races, but after the races. Yeah, I was interviewing more guys than anything. What I was doing was I started getting into sports podcasts, Maple Leafs, and I started thinking, man, I would love to hear Rick Johnson, Jeff Ward, Brock Glover.
I got you.
I would love to hear the story of these guys. Like there's nothing out there. I mean, I'm kind of super fanny, dorky that way. And I started thinking, well, how hard can it be to start a podcast? I mean, look at where we are now. Look what you did. Anyways, kidding. So I was like, hey, I'm going to start a podcast. Like I literally started my first one, did a lot of research online, looked online. This was 2008, so podcasts weren't even really that big. I got a thing from Radio Shack, and I got a thing on my laptop, and I used a real phone, but this little cord in between to capture the audio going into the laptop. It's super ancient. And I got it working for like $60.
Wow.
So my first podcasts were like, I called Chad.
Who was your first podcast? Larry Brooks?
No, I needed some hits. I needed some ears. So I called Reed because I was on his team, at Yamaha. So Chad was my very first podcast. And then, little known fact, I moved to Transworld for that 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
He was my first podcast at Transworld.
Yep.
And I went back to Racer X after a year. He was my first podcast at Racer X. But anyways, so I had to go with Chad. But then right away, like, I started calling Dogger and Wardy and Lachine and Glover and all these, Bradshaw, Emig, all these guys that, like, and I wasn't doing it for people to listen to. I was doing it for myself. Like, I had all these questions. And Kenny, you knew these guys better than I do for the most part, but they're around the races, they're around the tracks. I'd got to know them over the 12 years I was a mechanic, so I had somewhat of a relationship with them, and all these guys were cool, Bailey, so that's how I started the podcast. So I did that for 3 years, and then my wife is a huge Howard Stern fan, so she would listen to Stern in the mornings, and I wasn't a fan like her, but I would listen here and there, and I started thinking, again, like the podcast, there's nothing like this in moto. So I'm like, okay, how do I do that? And I figured, well, I'm already podcasting. And by this time, I had moved into better equipment and everything. And got some sponsors and things like that. And so I started thinking, like, how hard could that be? Well, fuck, can I swear? Fuck, it turned out to be really hard. Like, to do a live show, so now you're streaming it out to the world. And you need a solid program and a solid internet connection. And now I wanted to take phone calls from people, right? Because what else, gets it just to be different from a podcast? Well, phone calls. So now 6 phone lines, and now this equipment and that equipment, and like myself and Paul. And so I was telling Paul Lindsay, I want to do this show. He's like, so do I. So
love that guy.
Yeah. So Paul Lindsay and I were doing it, and we started it. It was really expensive. We had a lot of technical problems. It went okay to start, but that's how the show all started.
How many shows deep was it before the OG walked in that door? I want to think it was like 3 or 4.
No.
Oh, really? It was more than that?
Yeah, it was about 12.
Oh, that many?
Yeah. So we started. Paul was flying in from Denver.
Yeah, that's when he was flying in from Denver, telling his wife he was going to bed, and then he would go to the strip clubs all night. I remember that.
No, he would not, but
that sounded cool.
So we didn't, but Paul had said, "Hey, we got to sponsor Moto World, and they're in for the year."
Didn't he say Red Bull too? Like,
no, I think he was trying, but he said that never came to. We got Moto World. They're in for a year. They're going to pay, I don't remember what it was, $15,000 or something. We're like, sweet, okay, good. And then he said, "Hey, Moto World's only in for 6 months." And I'm like, oh, damn it, okay, but they'll give us 6 months. Then it was, "Hey, Moto World's only in for they're out to 6 weeks." And I'm like, geez. And knowing the numbers that I do now online for BTO, like, that was a big fail, Moto World, of what our listeners did if you would have stuck with us. But hey, whatever, it was their choice. But honestly, and nothing against Paul, you know him as well as I do. Early on, I'm like, this isn't going to be the Howard Stern morning motocross talk that I thought I wanted to do. He's super serious. I thought he was trying not to offend anybody. He's kind of in between jobs, so maybe he wanted to get a manager job or an announcing job. So he did not want to offend anybody. And I'm just like, look, you don't gotta, offend anybody, but you gotta offer some opinion here. It's, and so that's how it started. Yeah, and then you came in because you lived in Vegas. Came in show 12.
All right. Well, let's talk about when I entered the scene.
Yeah.
And how I'm not saying Paul felt threatened, but he wanted me to have, after the first show, he really didn't want me back for a while.
No, he didn't like having you in there. And myself, I mean, I'm not like Simon Cowell or America's Got Talent guy, like a judge like that. But I could see that you had something. I knew you from racing, from mechanicking, and I knew you were. I've always told people that you are the most unique individual maybe on the circuit. So I knew what you were. I knew your background. I knew your stories, and I knew you came in, and I'm like, oh wait, Paul's the straight man. Kenny's the guy that's out there, and Kenny's upsetting Paul, and this is all great radio, and I can jab and get things started. And you were yourself, and Paul was getting mad. But to be fair to myself, Paul and I weren't working. We weren't like providing entertaining radio. Like I was saying, I don't want to listen to this. Paul went from 45 minutes to an hour show, and then he was getting mad when we were stretching it out. And I was like, Paul, you're flying from Denver for an hour. Like, let's stretch this thing out. He just didn't want to do it. He's like, people don't want to listen that long, and I get it. But yeah, early on it was great. You guys almost came to blows over a J-Law Ryan Dungey thing, and unfortunately the fucking show dropped for like we got the beginning of it, and then we got the end of it. But when you guys were I was really thinking they were going to brawl, fight, or someone was going to swing at. Well, Paul would probably swing at you. You wouldn't have swung at him. No. Paul was going to swing at you, and at the meantime, I'm trying to fix all these wires and connect the show. So it's in there, but we lost it. The main yelling and screaming is gone forever.
But after that night, was that when Paul?
No, I think he stuck around one more.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
did I come back for the last show with Paul?
No, I don't think so.
Because I think I did like 3 shows.
Yeah.
I think I did 3 shows. I think I did to that one where
we could look at the archives, but you did. Yeah, I think the last show he said, "Hey, you got to make a choice."
Because I think I just pushed his buttons too hard.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I was just on him.
Right.
But yeah. All right. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
this is how I remember it. I remember you telling me, "Hey, it's not working out. Paul's bouncing. We have no money. This thing could be done."
Yeah.
And I say, "Well, what you need?" You told me what you need. I said, "Give me some time." Then I went out, and both of us together raised a little bit of money, and that's how it got going with the Pulp Show.
Yeah, because the phone bills were the first phone bills were $600 a month for 6 phone lines, and I'm like, oh, we need $600 a month, and I was locked into a year contract with Cox Cable, like the Cox phone company. I'm like.
So you've
$600
always
a month.
So you've always loved Cox.
Yeah, always.
Oh, you always loved Cox.
Always. And so I'm like,
perfect.
I'm like 600. How am I going to come up with that? You know what I mean? Like so yeah, you what you called Koi,
I
Racer's Edge,
yeah,
TRE,
yeah,
Koi, and then I think there was another one.
Words Connection.
No, they were already on board. I think I got Works on board, but there was another one. You came up with $2 or $3 grand right away within a day.
Yeah. And
we were like, okay, you know what? We're not going to make any money, but we're going to be able to pay.
It doesn't matter like if we did, but we did it together. And, legally I wasn't my show, but I felt like, hey, I partaked in a big part of that show. And, when I had to move, I was at a weird place in my life where
you didn't want to do the show anymore.
I enjoyed doing the show.
No, you didn't.
You're right. I hated it.
You did. At the end? By the end, you hated it.
I hated that fucking show.
By the end, you hated it. You didn't want to be there.
You're right. It was dragging. I was at a weird place in my life, and
doing the show with you was what I imagined dating a stripper is like. Never done that, okay? But doing the show with you was, and I stole this bit from somebody, so I didn't make this up, but like when we were on and you were engaged and we were laughing and joking, it was like, having sex with a stripper. It was just amazing, right? It was incredible. You love this girl, you want to marry her. And then when you didn't want to do the show and when you were in a bad mood and, you hated everything, it was like the stripper's now a coke addict and she's stealing money out of your bank account. Like the highs were so high and the lows were so low. When we were on, when you liked it,
well, that's a perfect example.
It was great.
That's where the bipolar comes in. That's where the bipolarness comes in.
Yeah.
And then, hey, speaking of, I'm gonna ask you this, and then I'm gonna tell you what my favorite one. Okay. I wanted to ask you, out of all the shows we did together,
yep,
what was your favorite show with me?
It's impossible to. I mean, everyone says the Lasergate one, right? With DV and you were there. They love that. Honestly, it's impossible to think there were great shows, like incredible funny shows. Honestly, I don't even know. There were a bunch. There was dozens of good ones.
I would have to agree with that.
I don't know. One doesn't stand out to me. Like moments stand out to you. Like when you started. Well, you were yelling at Paul, but what's in his notebook? Yeah. What do you write down? You carry that thing. What's in there?
I want to just tackle you and open it and see what's in there.
There was when you were ragging on Tedesco about how he thinks he could be an Olympic athlete in any sport with like some practice.
Yeah.
And you were yelling at him. There was
was Gigi one of them?
Gigi was good. Just to see Tits, our producer, reaction. We had Jenna Hayes in there, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
have you ever told Kiefer that Jenna Hayes sat in that chair?
I wonder if he knows that.
I guarantee you he doesn't know that. He would probably start licking that seat.
It could get creepy, dude. It could get really creepy. But no, so I don't remember any shows. I just remember moments that were hilarious, that were really funny. And, sometimes you went too far and whatever. But
I went too far. Dude,
yeah.
I think I've went pretty far on that show, but I've listened to a couple with Kiefer. That dude.
No, but that's another. I mean, you went too far as Kiefer's out there, but no, you went too far as like picking on people and like people getting really mad, like where I'm like, okay, like stop, and you would be like,
no, I'm under their skin. I'm gonna keep
yeah. But no. So, anyways, one show. I can't think of any like off the top of my head. Just a bunch of moments that were really funny.
Yeah, I would have to say one of the shows that I listened to not too long ago.
Really? You went back and listened?
Yeah, because I was trying to think about what happened.
I've never listened to an old show. I don't.
Is when I left. Remember, I said, "Fuck it, I'm out of here." And
that when but not the official leaving, just in the middle of a show?
Yeah, I left in the middle of the show.
What were we talking about though? Steve Cox.
Oh yeah,
Steve Cox was arguing about
paying
Han.
Yeah,
and is that the one? And you just said, if you're going to keep having him on, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I didn't want that guy around.
Right.
And still to this day, he fucking thinks that I did not pay. I did not pay Tommy Hahn, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know. There was you walked out. I want to say 2 or 3 times over the course of the show. Like walked out, went home.
Yeah. I mean, when I did my last show, I mean, there was kind of people like you were so solid. You're like, you knew that I wasn't the show. I mean, I personally, in my heart, I mean, I knew that you'd move forward because you had a solid program.
I knew 6 months before you left that you were leaving.
Okay.
And I don't mean like you. I just knew that this guy's not going to stay here. This guy is not going to stay on this show. He's over it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was time to go. But I mean, it worked out, and I think today.
Yeah, you broke up the Beatles. Good job with Yoko.
Oh, Yoko.
Great job, Yoko.
Yoko Ono. But I think.
Well, you were moving. Weren't you moving anyways by that point?
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah. At the time.
Like, did you move after? You got to get phone here on a podcast.
Yeah, I moved. Podcast. I moved after.
I turned my phones on silent.
I moved. Let's see. I moved in March.
So you left in December. So you kind of knew you were moving. Then you left in December at the end of a calendar year.
Yep. So I had to leave. The girl I was with at the time was having a baby, and I didn't want to be a fad dad and live in Vegas and have a kid in San Diego. So I decided to come down to California, and that's what I had to do. But I just, like you said, I don't think either way I was going to be staying on that show.
No, yeah, you're Yoko Ono.
Yeah,
you broke up the Beatles.
Hey, let me ask you another question.
What are you doing? We're doing podcasts and your phone's ringing.
I'm sorry. Would you expect anything less?
No, but with your own show, I would.
Okay.
Like,
Steve, come on, dude. You can't reinvent.
Glad to see Inside the Rut has not changed.
You can't reinvent the wheel, brother.
Okay. So you're Yoko Ono.
All right, yeah. All right, let's move on.
So when you left, I gathered my crew together, my trusted confidants. Moser.
Oh, yeah.
Swisscore.
Okay.
Pookie. The key people.
The group.
And I just said, should we end it? Should we keep it going? Who do we get as a co-host? Like, do we get a regular co-host? What do we do? Wasn't going to end it really, but maybe. I don't know. Because it was making money at that point. It was doing well, And I offered you money to stay, and you're like, no, you didn't care. More money. But, and everybody was like, oh, you got to keep it going. Okay, so I got to keep it going. So now what? Who lives in Vegas? Well, Berlut, and we love Berlut, but I don't know about a weekly, every week guy. So we started rotating the guys. I don't think Kiefer was even on there, but Berlut would come in. Ping would drive up more often than what he does now.
DV?
No, I don't even think DV was around then. Anyways, we made it work with rotating co-hosts. So
I enjoy it. I think there's some,
but it was close to being done somewhat.
Well, I'm glad it didn't fold for your sake. This is going to lead into exactly great question, I think.
Okay. Wow, pat yourself on the back.
Of course I do.
It's a great question.
Nowadays, do you think this sport has changed tremendously because of social media and Twitter and the web? I think it's my biggest pet peeve is if you go, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, you have all these keyboard guys that call it our sport. I love the NFL. You love hockey. You love football.
Yeah.
And I don't call it my sport. I call it football.
Right.
I call it. You call it hockey.
Yeah. Like you play touch football with your buddies in a park. It's still not your sport. Like it's still not your sport, right?
And all these
so
guys,
you ride Paris on the weekends. It's not your sport.
They start these forums on Vital, and they give their opinions, and they say this is the way it needs to be. If it's not this way, it sucks, or it's not going to work. Well, this is what we do. If you're working in this industry, this is what we do. Like, it's me, if you're, call it, a doctor, I'm not telling you how to do open heart surgery.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. And these people think they know because they have I want you to answer that question.
Yeah. Well, you have a good point. And whenever I do go on Vital, there are some people that I'm positive have mental problems, like positive that they need to get looked at. But, Watson, here's what I say. And I say this to a few people over the time. Like, okay, I love the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Raiders. And you love the, I don't even know.
Dodgers, Lakers.
Dodgers, yeah, you're a big baseball guy. Love the Dodgers, right? So I follow that. I watch every game of the Raiders I can. I watch Blue Jays, Maple Leafs. I'm into the sports, gnarly, right? But I still will never go on hockey.com forum and post that I thought James Van Riemsdyk should be traded for a second rounder and his backhand sucks. I will never do that. But I love it. I can name you every player on the team. I can name you the depth chart. I can name you everything. But I'll never go on a forum. I'm just not. No, I don't care. Nobody cares, right?
Exactly.
Now, okay, knowing that, those dudes that do go on a forum, right, and say RCH is folding, Watson sucks, Matthes sucks, Matthes is a fat loser. Those people, they're so passionate about moto that they do think their opinions matter, and they do think they want to go on this forum and talk about this great sport that you and I are in, and share their feelings. However fucked their feelings are, a lot of them. And again, I love hockey. I would never go on a forum. I love baseball. I never would go on a forum. I never would do it. So on one hand, like, bravo to these dudes that go on these forums, because they're the ones that are listening to this. They're the ones buying. Like, would you ever buy a Dodger jersey with Kershaw on the back?
No.
I never would buy a Leaf jersey with Matthews on the back. These dudes would buy a RCH Dodge Saquon t-shirt because they love it so much. So sometimes when you see those posts, I mean, there are some jackholes on there.
But I'll tell you,
I just admire them in a way.
At the beginning,
not admire them, but
at the beginning, when I was a super fan of this sport, I would have.
Yeah,
I would have bought.
Right.
I would have bought. I remember
back in the RJ bad boy
bad
tattoos.
boy, exactly.
Right.
I remember in the early 90s, I would have gave my left nut for one of those Camel Supercross stickers.
right. Yeah.
I remember going to Kyle Lewis's house and just bugging the shit out of his mechanic.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, could you give me? He's like, dude, shut the fuck up. I'll give you one.
Right. So, anyways, my point about those people, you're totally right. Our sport, it ain't your sport. You're a plumber and you ride at Star West. But God, those people are so passionate. They want to go on. They want to go on a forum and spout their opinions about Justin Bogle versus Brock Tickle. I guess God bless them. You know?
But this is my problem with it.
Wait, let me finish that before you say it. My problem with it, and maybe you're going to say the same thing, is when people in positions of power in our sport, Hart maybe, because I'm not saying he does, but Hart or Dan Bentley at Honda or a Beaker at Fox, not saying that's just guys that are somewhat powerful, John Knowles or whatever. Like they read that and then they call you or they want to do something to something they read on a forum. That's wrong. Roger Goodell is not going on a football forum and being like, Pete from Nebraska says that I'm out to lunch on Deflategate. Like I'm going to change. Like that's where Watson, there's people in our industry that are really like they react to that stuff. You can't. You can't react to that.
That's where I was going to go with this. But just not with those guys, but with the riders. And this is the bad thing.
Yeah.
If a riders, if it's a really good rider, they're not buying into that shit, they don't go on it. But their crew, their posse is on it. They read it. They tell them.
Yeah.
It's in their head.
Yeah.
We had a situation happen where
that sounds official. We had a situation.
We had a situation happen where someone called with a lot of power in this industry, called one of our riders about 2 weeks before we announced what we were doing and said,
this year,
yes, get out now. They're folding. You need to find a ride. Don't waste your time.
Oh,
so
geez.
this dude for 2 weeks was mind screwed.
Yeah.
He couldn't do what he had to do. He was jacked up.
And do you think it came from a forum? Or do you think it came
I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
So this dude, I text this dude after we were all done, and I said, I think you owe this guy an apology. And he's like, why are you guys all tripping? I'd seen him, and it's all good. I said, whatever, dude. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care.
No, and that goes back to what I was saying. If you're someone in power and you read a message board and you believe it's gospel, you got issues.
I don't care if you read it. You know what I mean? And you can read it, but if you're going to do anything about it, find out the truth before you say anything.
Yeah.
And my deal is just like Brock. Brock's didn't even go on anything. He didn't listen to anybody. He was so out doing his own thing and focusing on himself.
Yeah, we just had him on the show last week, and he was just like,
he was clueless.
I don't know, man. I was just riding my bike and not worrying about it. Like
he was clueless. He would call me and say, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't have any answers yet. We're moving forward.
Yeah,
everybody's still working. You guys are still riding, so that's a good sign."
And even Weimer was like, "I still got a bike."
Yeah, I mean, so anyways, coming from that,
so I just again, Roger Goodell is not going on some message board and being like, hey man, Pete from Nebraska thinks, stop it.
Saying that, there's those knuckleheads, but there's also some really, really solid dudes out there. Like when I was on your show, there was some like, what's his chops from New Jersey?
Nash,
good dude. Like he's a good dude.
Yeah.
He, there's what's the dude from Australia?
Lips?
No, Lips.
Tomo?
Who's the guy that hated me? One guy liked me and one guy hated me.
Oh, I don't remember.
But I think it was Tomo.
Tomo didn't hate you. I think Tomo liked you.
Yeah, I mean, there's dudes in there that are solid and they don't buy into it. But you know what? It is. And I just want to know your opinion. Do you think it's, good or bad for the sport?
Well, I respect them because they post on there. Like I said, I would never do that. And I love my sports, Yeah. So I respect the fact that they have so much passion that they'll listen to a 4.5 hour, 5 hour pulp show and they'll post on Vital, and I love that. But having said that, like anything, I guess there's some jackholes, you know what I mean? So what are you going to do?
Yeah. All right, well, we'll leave it at that. All right, a couple more questions for you, bud. And we got to get this out. We got to get this straight.
Yeah.
When I first started this whole thing and I had this idea that I wanted to do it, I did a couple test deals up at your house.
Oh, podcasting? Yeah. Yep.
And I had a little issue with David Wooleman.
Yeah.
And you didn't do me any favors by tell him, hey, he didn't do anything or say anything wrong.
I think I did.
All he said was he sucked. And the podcast didn't go the way he wanted. He never said David Volleman sucked. He blamed himself. And I tried to tell him, and that dude wants nothing. That dude would pass me in the middle of the desert.
Did he? Are you still blocked from calling him? Have you ever?
I haven't even tried,
Oh,
dude.
okay.
I haven't even tried. I pulled up next to him at a light one time and honked, and he looked over at me. He just looked at me and shook his head. He's driving some like Lincoln or something, and I'm just like, oh, all right. It's like he's still pissed, but I want to get that out. I doubt he ain't. I know for a fact he ain't gonna listen to it, but I just want everyone to know I did not throw him under the bus.
No,
I did not say anything. I said it was my fault. It sucked because of me. He heard it sucked and probably hung the phone up, and I thought you were just stirring.
I think
the
you
pot.
said that sucked.
Yeah, that sucked because of me.
Yeah.
It was my fault. I didn't do a good job running the podcast.
Right.
I let him take it. So, anyways, okay. So we know that you could say that.
I think I said that, didn't I? What did I say?
You keep saying that, but you're not saying you're not saying. Yeah, you're right. You did nothing wrong.
No, you said that sucked. I think you said that sucked, meaning the show, not Dave, not he sucked.
But then what did I say after that?
Yeah, you were like, it's me. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't interrupt.
All right,
I
we'll
didn't-
leave it
yeah,
at that.
I didn't. No, I think you said I didn't stop him enough.
Yeah, I didn't run.
I think
I
you
didn't-
said I didn't stop him enough, or I didn't
I didn't. Okay. All right. Whatever. All right. The last thing.
Yeah.
Do you ever, when this thing happened with Ricky in Salt Lake?
Yeah.
Did you ever think that it would drag out to what it is now today, where it's like you guys, like he would never do an interview with him. You could care less. You think he's not the best of all time. Blah blah blah.
No, the Salt Lake thing, I believe we were fine after the Salt Lake thing. He came into Red Dog's motorhome and apologized to me and to Timmy and to everybody. And I accepted it. Like, it was pretty heartfelt. Like, I think he was on the verge of tears. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, okay, yeah. You know, like, I was like, hey, no problem. Like, you lost your mind, and it happens, and there's pressure. There's title going down on the wire here. I still think he was at fault, but that was fine. I don't think that's it, Watson. I don't think that's why he doesn't like me. Like, I assumed we were good. You know what I mean? And I want to say I talked to him after that at the races a couple times. Nothing big, like just, hey, what's up? Or
So why do you think he has this vendetta towards you?
I really don't know. I really don't. Otherwise, other than me saying that he wasn't the GOAT, I thought the GOAT name was dumb, and I didn't think he was the greatest of all time because he doesn't have the Supercross record. But I can't imagine, Watson, that someone with his money in the bank, his prestige, his titles, I can't imagine some tubby guy, some media tubby guy writing that, like just saying that. It's not like I started a petition. It's not like I flew a banner above his house saying he wasn't the GOAT. I can't imagine that was it. So other than that, I don't know what it was, but that was it. I'm pretty sure we were good from Salt Lake. I mean, how could he get mad at me for Salt Lake? I did nothing. Like, I just listened to him rant and rave, and then we moved on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really don't know, but he started being very, like, not cool to mutual friends. Like, he would tell Coombs, like, hey, you need to fire that guy. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. That's really, like, at the time, that was my only job.
You were probably pissed off about that.
Well, okay, Davey and him are bros, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that was my only job. I don't know what I was making back then, but I'm like, fuck, like, well, Davey would fire me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Thankfully he didn't, but I'm like, wow, now that guy, for whatever reason, is messing with, like, my livelihood, like saying you should fire that guy. That's not cool. And that started stuff, and at this point, Watson, in 2016, verging on 17, I have no idea. Like, at this point, there's been so much shit thrown in. Where do we even begin to untangle it? But I do remember he apologized after Salt Lake. I asked Scott Taylor, who was still working for him, hey, I need a buddy of mine got paralyzed in Canada, and I said, hey, can I get a jersey signed by Ricky? It doesn't need to be a race jersey. You know how that goes, Watson. Just a silent auction for this guy who got paralyzed. And I remember Scott Taylor, I was sitting upstairs on my studio. Scott Taylor said, he's not going to do anything for you. And I'm like, what? Like, assuming that we were still good after Salt Lake, you know what I mean? And I said, what do you mean? He's just like, he's not going to do anything for you. Click, hung the phone up. Scott Taylor did. And I'm like, that's weird. And then, like, shortly after was the, hey, Coombs, you should fire that guy. But I think it goes, and then I started thinking, like, what the hell? And that was about it. I said, McGrath's kind of got him covered in Supercross.
Let me ask you a
so.
question, and we'll move on from there.
Yeah.
So, do you think McGrath is overall better than Ricky?
No. No, because McGrath has one outdoor title.
Okay, Ricky has how many Supercross titles?
I don't even know, 5? Yeah,
He has
4 or
5.
5, yeah.
And he was leading the one series, and he retired in the points.
Yeah, he probably would have won that one too.
Okay, so 6. And
No, wait, the Supercross one? He
Yeah.
retired? Did he have points?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The outdoors one he did. Yeah.
No, he didn't. But so he would have call it. I mean, who knows what happened?
It's just, Watson, it's 2 different things. Supercross and motocross are 2 different
Okay,
things.
what? Okay, let's call it. Let's call it this.
This
then.
sounds like a Monday night old pulp show.
Yeah,
Pete.
let's call it this way. Who do you think is the best overall motorcycle racer between those two? And I'm not saying Supercross, motocross. I'm
Right.
saying combined.
You can't combine them.
Yes, you can.
No. And here's another thing,
Yeah, you
Watson.
can. You could take both their wins.
If
and
you,
put them
you
together.
can go, there are,
And don't get me wrong.
There are-
I
no,
think Jeremy
yeah, no.
McGrath was the fucking.
was he not on your podcast?
Fuck. Both of them were
Okay.
together.
Well, don't fuck over McGrath because he was on your podcast.
No, dude, McGrath is my
Okay.
guy, dude. I've
Okay,
always looked
so-
up to McGrath. I think McGrath is
Right.
gnarly. But if you're going to ask me who is the best of all time motorcycle racer overall, indoor and outdoor put together, I'm going to have to say Ricky.
Well, I know. Yeah.
Because
See, it's
Jeremy had one title outdoors.
If Ricky had.
If you asked him, he would go back. If he could do it all over again, I guarantee you McGrath would said he would put his head down and try harder.
Well, he
outdoors.
should have won 96 outdoors. He just got hurt at Millville. And he should have won 98. He was leading the series when he broke his wrist at High Point. So McGrath should have 2 to 3 more outdoors. And then he went Supercross only. Whatever. You know what? You know what's great is it's bench racing.
Yep.
And it's we just talked about this on Monday night. Wygant was over, and my Twitter feed, we did this whole thing about the Ricky and McGrath, and my Twitter feed, it's 50-50. Like, people are like, yeah, Matthes, you're totally right, and 50% people are like, you're a fucking idiot, Matthes. So like, it's just great bench racing. You know what I mean? I just feel like if RC had 70 wins, McGrath's got 72. If RC had 70 wins, I'd be like, yeah, you know what I mean? He's the greatest. But 72 to 48 is quite a bit. That's 3 seasons, you know?
How many outdoors? I mean, how many combined does he have?
Well, whatever. Ricky's got him covered. Yeah, combined. But I'm saying I take Supercross as 1 and motocross as 1. And also, the GOAT. Matt Walker gave him that name. When did Matt Walker become a scholar and, a wise man on top of a mountain to bestow nicknames? The GOAT is Muhammad Ali's nickname. It always has been. There's hundreds of thousands of references to the GOAT being Muhammad Ali. The great one. Who's the great one? Who's the great one?
Ricky Carmichael.
That is a good one.
You asked. I told you.
Okay, all right. Touche. The great one, Wayne Gretzky. The splendid splinter is Ted Williams. Any great athlete in any sport, the little professor, the bomber.
Who's Mr. October?
Tom Selleck.
Mr. October, Tom Selleck?
Yeah, in that movie.
No, dude.
That,
Reggie Jackson.
oh yeah, but wasn't there a movie called Mr. October? It was Tom
Yeah,
Selleck.
there was. When
He
he
came
went
back
to
from Japan,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so the point is like the GOAT nickname is dumb. So that's my bottom line.
That's your opinion.
But Ricky's awesome, and you know what? Do you think he would ever do an interview with me?
No.
Okay.
I had him close to come on the show a couple times. He said, I'll do it just for you. And then it came down to it.
When you were hosting it, you mean? Like
Yeah, when I was on your show.
Right.
And then he said, Watson, I just can't do it.
Yeah. All right.
All right. There you go. All right. Well, that was a good one, huh? I enjoyed that. Thank you very much for coming.
Is that all you got for me?
That's all I
right.
got for you.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you for coming by.
Yeah.
What do you think of my little janky studio?
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
Impressive?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, nice little table you got here going on. I like it. I would love this setup in my studio. I've looked at it. Studio furniture. It's very, very expensive to have studio furniture. But I would love the racks underneath, and I would love the.
Oh, like I have the custom made racks that slide in and out?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those
But,
are custom made too, by the way.
Because Watson, when I'm at my desk, I'm looking forward, and then all my guests are over there.
Yeah, you got your big screen. You're looking forward, right? You're watching Maple Leafs.
Right.
Baseball season. You're
Right.
watching the Blue
so,
Jays.
I like it. I like the mics in front of people like this, like on a table.
Yep.
But yeah, nice going. How's the show going? Are you happy doing it?
The numbers are really good.
Okay.
Surprisingly.
you-
I wanted to change the format around. I had kind of episodes,
Are you and
segments.
Daniel Blair going to keep talking shit on my show, like I heard on Twitter?
Probably. But
Okay.
what I'm trying to do is make this more into a roundtable.
Oh, yeah.
Not a weekly podcast talking about the races, because I think you have that covered. There's nothing I don't think you can compete. Anyone can compete with what you do. I think you're pretty solid. You are solid. So what I want to do is just bring guests on, and just roundtable it and talk
Another
about
couple of these booms going on.
Well, I have a head mic for this one.
yeah.
So, and then we call people and do
Right.
whatever we need to do. But, I'm just, I want to do like 2 a month. And just
people ask me, there's a bunch of new podcasts coming out and people doing podcasts. And I talk to people who want to do podcasts. And I'm always like stay in your lane. If Watson, all these old people, pretty much everyone in the industry. Having a roundtable podcast is probably something that's in your lane. If you're doing an amateur, like Kenny Bell, Kenny Taco Bell started a podcast. And I said, stick to freestyle guys. They don't have anything, no interviews. Nobody interviews those guys. You know them all.
Yep.
Do the best freestyle motocross podcast you can do, because that's what you know. And again, myself and Wygat and JT were at the races on the weekend. We're in the pits and we're scouring people, and that's what we know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do an arena cross podcast. Maybe Blair should, do a bit more of that if he wants to, just whatever, because he's at the races. He knows all those guys. So just do what you do and then do it really good.
Yep.
That's how I feel. But
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was trying to do it when I started a different way, but I think I've changed the format up a little bit.
None of my shows have ever been the same from when I started to where they are now. They've never been the same. You evolve.
Yeah.
You do what you do well, and people were saying on me like, oh, I've listened to Watson's podcast, it sucks balls and blah blah blah. And I always say, go back and listen to my 2008 ones.
Yeah, you were the best.
I was not. I have 1,000 shows in. I'm better.
Yeah.
Because I have 1,000 shows.
Yeah.
So
I've been guilty of listening or reading some message boards about my podcast.
That's probably the worst thing you want to do.
Yeah, and some of it was saying that I talk too much, and some saying I had Ben Riddle on, which was a really good podcast. That Ben told his whole story about going to prison, this whole thing, and.
Is he all right now? Is he fine?
He's totally good.
Okay.
Just had a kid, doing his motocross schools.
I will never forget. I lived with Jeff Bone from Thor. I don't know if you remember that guy. He was Thor racer, pro guy, brought the gear. I lived with him in Santee down in El Cajon. He told me, Ben Riddle is going to be the next superstar. I just got back from Loretta's. He is going to be the #1 dirt bike racer. And I'm like, oh my God.
Really?
I'm like, wow. He's like, you got to see this kid. He's big, so he's good on a 250. He's...
Well, the crazy thing about his story was he was so big at a young age. He started riding 125s and 250s at 12 years old.
Yeah, because he was big, right?
Yeah. So saying that,
but anyways,
he talked.
Yeah.
He told his whole story.
Right.
Like it was like boom, and he talked for like 20 minutes, and then I said something, and then he talked, and everyone's like, "Oh, you should have just called that the Ben Riddle and show." And I go, "It is."
Yeah. Well,
he told a story. But anyways,
yeah, you can't really. You guys got to do you, and the more shows you do, the better you will become at anything, whether it's dirt bike racing, podcasting, mechanicking, or anything. So go back and listen to my 2008 shows where I'm like stuttering and like whatever. You just,
That's producer Pete in the background trying to talk with
Pete doesn't know his lane. See, Pete has no microphone. He doesn't know his name. He doesn't know his lane.
But I think when we did the Pulp show, I think that a lot of people really enjoyed the Kenny's Corner segment.
Yeah.
And that ran its course because we started running out of names, and that went on for a year.
And now I'm doing a hockey podcast, and I'm doing Kenny's Corner with the guy on the hockey pod. He played in the NHL for 18 years. I am throwing a random NHL guy at him, like he doesn't know, and I'm just giving him a name. And he has to tell me the first, funny story about. It's the same as Moto.
So is his name Kenny too?
No, sorry. His name's Ray.
Is it Ray's Corner?
No, I was trying to think of a name for it. Ray's Recollections. I don't know, but you know what I mean. I'm doing the same thing where I'm like, "Hey Ray, Chris Chelios," and then Ray goes, "Oh, he was the dirtiest guy ever," and one time he two-handed me, and then he, what? So, anyways, I'm copying that format. So,
right on.
But
all right, dude. Well, once again, thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone enjoys this.
Do I get reimbursed for gas or time or Starbucks?
No, you don't get reimbursed for shit.
Okay.
Just want everyone to know that everyone thinks that me and Matthes don't like each other. He might not like me, but I don't have no hard feelings. That we're cool. If he would come by my house and do a podcast with me. Couldn't hate me too bad, people. So enjoy this, and see you next time. Keep on keeping on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year, and I would like to give thanks to our sponsors, especially for making this happen this year with us. Elite Construction, Coco Paw Casino Resort in Yuma, Arizona. Ron's In Your Ear Audio, Lake Havasu City, Arizona. If you're in Havasu, you have any problems with your boat breaking down, you need fiberglass repair, your stereo stops working, give Ron a call. Tell him Inside the Rut sent you. X-Brand Goggles. Brock Tickle wears them. RCH Factory Yoshimura Racing. Check them out. Also, Hart & Huntington Tattoo, the newest tattoo shop in Nashville, Tennessee, on Broadway Street. Go check them out. Tell them Inside the Rut sent you. They will be carrying RCH, JGR, Hart & Huntington, collab t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts in the near future. Go in there, tell them Inside the Rut sent you, and they will take care of you. Guts Racing, the official graphics, seat covers, and seat foams for RCH Yoshimura Factory Racing, Pro Circuit Racing, and countless other teams in the pits. You want what the pros used? Make sure you get a hold of Guts Racing. Once again, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I would like to wish each and every one of you a Happy New Year. Be safe. We'll talk to you next year.
Well, I drank 30 beers for breakfast, 'cause I'm a bro. And I took a dirt bike to Glamis, 'cause I'm a bro. I didn't jump one fucking jump, 'cause I'm a bro. I just talked about the river, 'cause I'm a bro. And crushed these demons of dirt, 'cause I'm a bro. I got posters of Vin Diesel, 'cause he's my favorite bro. And I punch my friends in the arm, because we're bros. Well, I lifted my truck up to the sky, 'cause I'm a bro. 'Cause I'm a bro. I give millions to the industry, even though it's ran by the Japanese, 'cause I'm a bro. Flame tattoos, revving my dirt bike. I talk shit all the time, if your truck is smaller than mine, 'cause I'm a bro. Well, I've got black socks and sideburns, 'cause I'm a bro. I bleached my hair and I spiked it, 'cause I'm a bro.